Alistair grew up at Redcliffe. He used to play in the fields outside this very village. And now the boy, who once begged me to make him toy soldiers, rules all of Ferelden.
Tell me about your people.
They say a spirit dwells in a small lake south of the highway. The girls of the village bring it daisies and ask for love, but rarely does it listen. For 'tis a spirit of valor, not love, and it favors blood lotus flowers.
Please, are you with the Inquisition? As you've wandered, have you by any chance seen a ram that is, different? Lord Wolseley wandered off, and he's very special. If you could find him, I'd be most grateful.
What makes your ram so special?
Well, he's always brought the family luck, and his advice helped us make our fortune.
Your ram offered advice?
He's a very special ram.
Your ram has gone missing?
Yes. I'm certain that if he heard his Jimmy missed him, he'd come right back. He's likely at our family's old summer cabin. It's by the lake in the southern hills. If you do find him and send him back, I'd be happy to pay you.
I'll speak with you later.
If you find my ram, please send him home.
I am Sister Tanner. May I help you?
Are you a chantry sister?
A lay sister only. I work here to help the poor and extend the Maker's kindness to those who need it. It is very busy work, especially in these times, but let me know if I can ever help you.
I found the letter you sent a Templar named Corin.
What? Shit. You can't prove anything. A letter from a rogue Templar. Nobody is going to care. So, what do you intend to do?
The Chantry used to drown smugglers who posed as sisters. It's an ugly death. I wonder if they still do that. I could ask around. Or you can put your skills to use for the Inquisition.
And you'd keep quiet? Nobody else has to know? All right, I'm in. Seems like the Inquisition is the safer bet these days.
For the first time in all these years, I fear I will not be visiting your ashes. What world is this? That demons and brigands stop a man from taking flowers to his wife's shrine.
What if I took flowers to your wife's shrine for you?
I do not know what to say, except thank you. I never expected anyone not of the blood to care. My Senna would be grateful. Her shrine lies on a hill to the west, near the table stones. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Too many people dying for want of simple herbs. My apologies. Can I help you?
Are you running short of healing herbs?
Yes. We've many injured from attacks by those cursed Templars. I need the herbs to treat people's wounds. It's too dangerous to go hunting through the hills to gather more. I've a list there of the herbs I need.
There are refugees at the crossroads who would benefit from a healer.
Of course they would. These attacks by the Templars have endangered countless innocent lives. But if I go to the crossroads to help, I might end up in danger myself. I doubt those refugees would risk their lives for a knife ear. Why should I risk mine for them?
Have people called you a knife ear?
Every day. They need the salves I sell, but they spit on me once they've paid. These villagers only tolerate me because Templars killed their human healer. I doubt the humans at the crossroads would be any different.
The elves were slaves once. They earned their freedom serving under Andraste. If you want the elves to be treated better, show the Inquisition you are worthy.
All right. If the Inquisition soldiers are there, I might be safer regardless. I'll see you at the crossroads soon. Just give me a moment to gather my things.
Yelena says you got rid of those demon-cursed wolves. Should be safer for our farmers now. You've held up your end of our bargain, Inquisition. You'll have my whole stable and good hands to go with it.
You said you were once Al Eamon's stablemaster.
Master of the mounts. Fereldans don't appreciate horses like they do in Orlais, but they knew my name in Val Royeaux. My horses took sick less and carried a man longer than any of those fancy prancers they've got. And now they're all yours, Inquisition. Take care of them.
What can you tell me about the wilderness around here?
Got some old ruins in the forest, from long before any king of Ferelden. The lakes are pretty, though when the weather's odd, you hear tell of spirits. Beyond that, my daughter Sienna set up a track just over there. Fool girl likes to race the horses.
You sent your stable hands and your horses to the Inquisition. What about you?
Well, you've cleaned up the area, and I can't say I'm not tempted. Still, it feels wrong to abandon my land to go play horsemaster again.
I suppose you're right. The Orlesian Chevaliers do have stronger horses.
The Orlesians? Hang that. No hopped-up Orlesian pissboy knows more about horses than I do. All right, Inquisition. I'll look to your horses myself. Never let it be said that Redcliffe gave less than the best. Just let me settle matters here and say goodbye to my wife. I'll meet you at Skyhold.
A pleasure to see you again.
I found some of the herbs you were looking for.
Yes, these are perfect.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for your help.
I do not suppose you found my Senna's shrine. I know it is a long way to go.
I cleaned Senna's shrine and placed the flowers. May her ashes be gathered by Falondine and carried safely.
After all the long years she carried me, thank you. You do a foolish old man too much kindness. Thank you, friend. May your Inquisition do as much good for the land as you have done for me. Lord Wolseley came back! He says you convinced him. Here, for all your trouble.
A situation requires your attention, Inquisitor. Noble Chantry loyalists in the city of Jadar are spreading accusations that you're responsible for the Divine's death. They're unusually organized. I recommend we send people to Jadar to deal with the matter.
Will anyone even believe me if I claim I didn't kill the Divine?
Perhaps if they learn about your heroics. We should emphasize how you stopped the breach devouring the sky. Even in Jadar, it may win you a few admirers.
What does the nobility gain by saying I murdered Justinia?
A scapegoat to begin with, but I wonder if the Grand Clerics are at work. Those immediately eligible to be divine died at the Conclave. The ones remaining were not as favored. They may look upon you as a rival for influence.
Let's send some ambassadors to convince Jada I'm not a monster in disguise.
Excellent. I believe there's much to be gained by winning them over.
Corypheus is back. Oh, shit.
You said he was a Darkspawn, or a Magister. What is he really?
I'm not sure. I don't think Corypheus really knows either. He's definitely a Darkspawn, but when we found him, it was pretty obvious he hadn't heard that. He thinks he's a Magister, a priest of Dumat, in fact. He says he broke into the Golden City, like in the Chantry tale.
If you and Hawke defeated him once, we can do it again.
We didn't just think Corypheus was dead. He was dead. No pulse, no breath, full of stab wounds. There wasn't a lot of room for doubt. It makes me wonder. I thought the Wardens imprisoned Corypheus to use him. Maybe they did it because he can't be killed.
How did you and Hawke even wind up in a Grey Warden prison for ancient Darkspawn?
Corypheus sent people after Hawke. He actually got control of an entire Carta clan. Made them drink Darkspawn blood. Weird shit. We tracked the Carta to an old dwarven fort or something in the mountains. Of course, it turned out to be a trap. They needed Hawke's blood to open the locks holding Corypheus, and they drew us into the prison to get it.
There has to be a way to defeat Corypheus. We'll find it. Don't worry.
I hope you're right. Maker's breath, what have I let loose?
You had nothing to do with this, Varric.
I was the one who led Hawke to Corypheus. If I hadn't tracked the Carta to that ruin, But you've got more important things to do than listen to me worry. Just let me know when you want something shot.
Questions, questions.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. Madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy craft? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That Magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
What is the Magisterium, exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope.
Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium.
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true Divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the South. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I disagree. I don't think the Chantry's irrelevant.
Not to most, no. Perhaps just to me. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
You don't seem like the religious sort, to be honest.
If you define religious as sitting in a chantry and listening to a blithering hen tell you how to live, then no. If you define it as believing in the possibility that something larger than yourself exists, then yes, by all means. The world is bigger than I, even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe, but I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
Inquisitor?
The Divine's death hit you hard. How have you been feeling?
Oh, you are referring to my outburst in the Haven. I am much better now. Justinia was such a dear friend, and there were so many things going wrong.
Sometimes it's best to talk these things out.
I was there when the hero of Ferelden defeated the Archdemon. We won the day, and I thought the Maker smiled on me. When the Divine requested my help, I went to her. I owed her that much. I sacrificed so much to do the Maker's work. But now, Justinia is dead. I was angry. I felt betrayed. But I shouldn't have let my emotions get the better of me. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. You were grieving and upset. I understand.
Thank you. Now enough of this. Let us think more pleasant thoughts.
Anything I should know?
It seems that the Orlesian army is awaiting our next move. Some of the generals are sympathetic to our cause, others are still suspicious. Our actions are under a great deal of scrutiny.
Inquisitor.
I'm interested in what you told me of yourself in your studies. If you have time, I'd like to hear more.
You continue to surprise me. All right, let us talk. Preferably somewhere more interesting than this.
Why here?
Haven is familiar. It will always be important to you.
We talked about that already.
I sat beside you while you slept, studying the anchor.
I'm glad someone was watching over me.
You were a mystery. You still are. I ran every test I could imagine. Searched the Fade, yet found nothing. Cassandra suspected duplicity. She threatened to have me executed as an apostate if I didn't produce results.
I would never have agreed to that.
You were in no position to argue. You were never going to wake up? How could you? A mortal sent physically through the Fade. I was frustrated, frightened. The spirits I might have consulted had been driven away by the breach. Although I wished to help, I had no faith in Cassandra, or she in me. I was ready to flee.
But you stayed.
I did. I told myself, one more attempt to seal the rifts. I tried and failed. No ordinary magic would affect them. I watched the rifts expand and grow, resigned myself to flee, and then... It seems you hold the key to our salvation. You had sealed it with a gesture. And right then, I felt the whole world change.
For all our sakes, I'm pleased that you stuck around.
As am I. You have fractured rules of man and nature, and you will shatter more before you are done. Visiting me here, even as a mage, it should not have been so easy for you.
What do you mean?
Where do you think we were?
This isn't real.
That's a matter of debate. Probably best discussed after you wake up.
Ready to answer the great mysteries. It'll be wonderful.
Where does a dwarf go to study magical theory?
Get out. I asked myself that question for years. Turns out, not in Orzammar. I had to start at a circle. I had help, though. A Grey Warden, and I am forever grateful. With that sanction, I visited a half-dozen circles. The wonders I've seen. And with an objective eye, I can spot where they overlap. That's a surprise for every teacher. It's a grand tradition, and it works so well with new thinking.
You mentioned a Grey Warden who helped you start your studies.
Not any Grey Warden. The Grey Warden. The hero of Ferelden is a hero in Orzammar, too. It's incredible that someone like the hero of Ferelden would stop to help the little people. Literally.
You gave up so much, left your home. Was it really that amazing?
Yes. I left my home and my family, but I just knew I could be more than a smith. I wish my people weren't stuck in the past, and I regret that my father couldn't imagine another life for me. But I don't regret what I did.
The Warden affected you in a special way.
Talk to anyone, they'll say the same. It was a dark time. There was one light. She saved us. She saved me.
Your years of study have paid off.
Oh yes, the mages said I brought a valuable perspective. I've even presented my work to the College of Enchanters. I wanted an exchange. The Surface could learn about lyrium smithing, and Orzammar would gain knowledge of magic. But now there's no college. And so far as the Shaper is concerned, I'm castless. So you're getting my best work, Inquisitor. Let's make some great stuff.
All right, rein it in. You have work to do.
Right, sorry. I get carried away when I think of it. Ready when you need me.
Sleep well?
I've never done anything like that before. Do you regularly talk to people in dreams?
No. Consider that one more rule you have effortlessly broken in your rise to power. I had no idea that the anchor would allow you to dream with such focus. It is truly remarkable. But I am reasonably certain we are awake now. And if you wish to discuss anything, I would enjoy talking.
I'd like to hear more about what you saw in your exploration of the Fade.
I would be happy to share it with you.
Tell me about the old ruins you explored.
I found the ruin of Barandur, a lost Tevinter city buried deep beneath a dead and barren wasteland. Volcanic ash had sealed it tight. In one dark moment, every living creature in the city seared and smothered. They were statues in the ashes, like a mold made to recall the lost.
Tell me about a spirit you encountered.
I met a friendly spirit who observed the dreams of village girls as love first blossomed in their adolescence. With subtlety, she steered them all to village boys with gentle hearts, who would return their love with gentle kindness. The matchmaker, so I called her. That small village never knew its luck.
Tell me about the old memories you found in the Fade.
I saw a savage human horde go marching toward the battlefront. They sang a soldier's hymn to keep formation. Primal music shook the ground. These savage, unwashed warriors carried harmonies no chantry choirs mastered. Though their cause was all but hopeless, they sang songs that made the spirits weep.
Inquisitor. That's got a good ring to it. We're happy to be here, your worship. You need anything, let me know.
Iron Bull said the charges were at my disposal. Do you have any suggestions on how to use them?
I suspect Haven's quiet by now. Might be worth sending the boys back. We could recover some supplies, get an idea about the enemy's strength. We could even pick up any stragglers who haven't found Skyhold yet.
I'd like to know more about the Iron Bull.
The chief. Last time I met him, he saved my life. I never thought I'd work for a Canary, but he grows on you. He's not like any commander I've ever worked for. That's for damn sure.
How's Iron Bull as a commander?
If you know what you're doing and hold up your end, he's easy. He doesn't accept any less. If he keeps us alive, he leads from the front, and if you've an idea that'll win the fight, he listens. I've seen bands whose captains had to prove they were swinging the biggest sword. Bull isn't like that. The charges might give him more lip than you'd expect, but every one of us would lay down our lives for the big ass.
How did a Tevinter soldier wind up in a Kunari spy's mercenary company?
I wasn't a soldier at the time. I was in some trouble, trying to flee Tevinter. A tribune and his men caught me in a border town tavern. They meant to make an example of me. Bull killed them. Gave up his eye doing it. Patched me up and asked if I was looking for work. I've been putting up with his jokes ever since.
That's how he lost the eye?
Yes. The guards had me on the tavern floor when Bull came inside and yelled for them to stop. One of them saw trouble coming and figured he'd finish me off. The guard had a flare. Bull put himself between me and the blow. Big horned idiot. Didn't even know me.
Is it strange to work for a Kunari?
He hasn't tried to convert us to the Qun, if that's what you're asking. Bull's charges don't care who you light a candle for, so long as your shield stays up. If he hadn't told me he was Ben Hasrath, I'd have thought he'd left that life behind.
I didn't expect he'd tell you all that he was a spy.
Not the whole band, but those who've been around long enough to trust. He figures most of us would find out sooner or later, and it should come from him. Eyes to eye, he says. Just never messed up a job. He just writes letters back home. Lots of the boys write letters back home.
Hey you, I have an Inquisitor favor to ask. Just a little thing, really. A little march around for some of your people. It's nothing for you, right?
I can't promise anything. We need every resource for the task at hand.
Everything has to have a purpose, right? Well, don't worry, this will too. It's a Red Jenny thing. I got a tip that some noble stiffs are arguing over Verschel. Land squabble. They're getting little people beat up, so I need you to go to your big table and send some people to walk through town.
Just walk through?
Just walk through. Easy, right?
Was this a tip from one of your friends?
Not a Jenny. Just normal angry people getting sick of being in the middle. I don't usually hear about things this far away, but having a friend like you is like getting really big ears. Bigger ears, I guess. Shut up.
Who's asking for this?
I'm asking, because I heard people complaining. See, when nobles fight, it's not them, it's their little people stuck in the middle. It's like a polite wall, so no one pays attention. But if you march through, the people up top feel threatened too. Stuff like this is always happening. Good sovereigns to be made if you're one of the few who notice.
What does the Inquisition get out of this?
Nobles think everyone is out to get them. So when your helmets march through, both sides will think the other's your ally. Both get scared, both make deals. Worst case, you get a little bump among the people just because they see you active. Can't promise anything, but something will happen, just like always.
All right, Sarah. I'll have someone look into it.
It's fun, right? Being important without doing a thing. Well, not much of a thing. Not everything has to be torn skies and ancient arseholes. Every little thing makes a difference somewhere.
He didn't kill his father. He was his father.
Can you explain how your mind works?
Yes?
Walk me through the way you help someone.
I start by listening. I hear hurt, feel it fretting. Some you can solve by giving something, food, a blanket, sleep. Some are intangible, terrible tangles that catch on a crack, fixed, festering, and the person makes a pearl of pain. I shake it loose. No pearl, no pain. They can hope, they can heal.
What do you sense when you focus on me?
You're too bright. Like counting birds against the sun. The mark makes you more, but past it, you reach across. Mindful meaning. You pull it through to this side, make it real here. And past that, the weight of all on you. All the hopes you carry, fears you fight. You are theirs. It must be very hard. I hope I help.
Sometimes you say things that relate to other members of the Inquisition.
They remember me. Their eyes stick, some more. They want me to be. Varric is quiet inside. He pulls me more to hear, makes me a person, calls me kid, a friend. Soulless, bright and sad, observes and accepts. Spirit self, seeing the soul, soulless, but somehow sorrows.
It must be sad feeling everyone's pain all the time.
Why?
Isn't it?
No. I help. I find wounds and heal them. I salve, soothe, save. I see pain and make it better. How could I not be happy?
Inquisitor, it was amazing. Sorry, slow down. Your quartermaster outfitted me, and I got trained to hunt the bandits near my home, in your name. I hired Voth here. Don't tell anyone, but he's a mage. A good one, though. Thank you for trusting me, your worship. I'll pay you back, I swear.
Good work. Keep with the training. We'll need every hand.
Yes. Yes, your worship. We'll do just that. Won't we, Voth? He doesn't speak, but he's thankful too.
I can keep staring at this, but I won't get any closer.
Something I can help you with?
Yes. Possibly. You recall the demon at Therenfall? The one impersonating Lord Seeker Lucius? We never found the real Lord Seeker, or his body. Indeed, I've seen no hint of any Seekers amongst the Red Templars, or anywhere. I have a growing suspicion Corypheus has imprisoned them.
Why imprisoned? He could just as easily have killed them.
Not easily. But yes, they may be dead. Yet a demon of envy does not kill whomever it replaces. It hides them away and learns about them. There must be a trail we can follow, yet so far I have only discovered hints.
But they could have ended up just like the Red Templars.
Seekers do not use lyrium. I assume Corypheus gained control of the Templars by corrupting the lyrium they were already taking. To do the same to a Seeker, you'd have to force the lyrium upon him. That may be what happened, but it couldn't have begun that way. We're missing a piece of the puzzle, Inquisitor. I need to find it.
Finding them obviously means a lot to you.
I left the Order, but I can never abandon them. I cannot even claim that rescuing them would be beneficial. They wouldn't look kindly on the Inquisition. But even so, if there's a chance... If we can spare resources to follow up on these leads, Inquisitor, I would appreciate it. Care Oswin. Odd that the trail should lead us here. Ban Loren is a pious, unassuming man. What has he become involved in?
He might simply be a victim as well.
Let's see what lies within. Promises. I should have known. The Order of Fiery Promise is a cult with strange beliefs about the Seekers. They've hounded us for centuries.
What kind of strange beliefs?
They believe they are Seekers, the only rightful ones. They say we robbed their powers long ago, preventing them from ending the world.
Ending the world?
The only way to truly eradicate evil in their eyes, the world will be reborn a paradise. It's all nonsense.
Why haven't the Seekers dealt with them?
We have, many times. They simply reappear after a time like weeds. Nobody knows how.
Is it possible to negotiate with them?
They're fanatics, drunk on whatever forbidden magic they can find to make themselves true Seekers. This explains why the Seekers might be here, but not the connection to Corypheus. A Seeker. Did they torture him to death? The Promisers will pay for this. As the Seekers of Truth have proven resistant to the effects of red lyrium,
The Elder One has seen fit to place them in your care. Reclaim your destiny, and know that the Elder One expects your devotion as repayment. Signed by Magister Calpurnia, leader of the Venatori. Does Corypheus not realize the promises want the world to end? What use are they to him?
So Corypheus sold the Seekers to these cultists?
And they leapt at the chance, of course. But this doesn't explain how he captured the Seekers in the first place, or what's been done with them. We must keep looking.
The letter said Seekers were resistant to Red Lyrium.
Our abilities grant us many gifts, but a resistance to Red Lyrium's corruption? That seems strange. Although it would explain why none have numbered among the Red Templars. And thus Seekers would be useless to Corypheus. He would have no leash to hold us.
You sound worried.
I am. The Seekers are my family. Daniel! Daniel! Can you hear me?
Cassandra. It is you. You're alive.
As are you. I'm so glad I found you.
No, they put a demon inside me. It's tearing me up.
What? You can't be possessed. That's impossible.
I'm not possessed. They fed me things. I can feel it growing.
Can we do anything?
I don't know. This thing inside him...
The Lord Seeker. You have to find him.
Of course we'll find him. If he lives, we'll...
Lucius betrayed us, Cassandra. He sent us here, one by one. An important mission, he said. Lies! He was here with them all along. He's still working with them.
Could it have been the demon from Therenfall?
No. The demon came later.
But a demon couldn't simply take his place without anyone noticing.
The Lord Seeker allowed it. He let the demon take command while he...
came here.
Cassandra.
Now is not the time for sympathy.
Wait! Don't leave me like this, please!
You should have come with me. You didn't believe in the war any more than I did.
You know me. I wanted that promotion.
Go to the Maker's side, Daniel. You will be welcome. Lord Seeker Lucius.
Cassandra, with a woman I can only assume is the new Inquisitor.
You must be very proud of your handiwork.
I presume you know we Seekers of Truth were once the original Inquisition. Oh yes. We fought to restore order in a time of madness long ago, as you do now. And we became proud. We sought to remake the world, to make it better. But what did we create? The Chantry, the Circles of Magi. A war that will see no end.
And aiding Corypheus is supposed to help?
Corypheus is a monster with limited ambition.
And your ambition is so much greater.
We Seekers are abominations, Cassandra. We created a decaying world and fought to preserve it even as it crumbled. We had to be stopped. You don't believe me? See for yourself. The secrets of our order passed to me after the former Lord Seeker was slain. The war with the mages had already begun, but it was not too late for me to do the right thing.
And this was the right thing?
Lord Seeker, what you've done.
I know. What Corypheus did with the Templars does not matter. I have seen the future. I have created a new order to replace the old. The world will end so we can start anew. A pure beginning. Join us, Cassandra. It is the Maker's will.
He was insane. He had to be. Perhaps the Envy Demon's influence? Remove the Lord Seeker so it could take over the Templars?
All these wasted lives.
He could not have destroyed all of us. I won't accept it. Let us return to Skyhold. I wish to see what's in this Book of Secrets.
Heard you found something that had to do with wardens. Would have liked to have seen it. I've been meaning to thank you. There are 100 things that need your attention. You didn't have to take the time to help me, and yet you did.
If the history you pursue benefits the Wardens, then it was worth it.
You've proven yourself to be an honorable woman. Principled. I've great admiration for you, and I've never been more certain in my decision to join you.
There will be opportunities for us to do even more in the future.
Then I look forward to it.
Varric's friend Hawk said there were suspicions of corruption in Grey Warden ranks. Do you know anything about that?
Corruption? What sort of corruption?
Corypheus. He's been known to influence the minds of Wardens.
That could very well explain why so many have disappeared.
If this is true, then all Wardens are in danger. Even you. We'd better find your brothers.
I agree. If Hawk's given you an idea where to start, we should get moving immediately.
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
How do the Wardens deal with archdemons?
Short answer? Stick it with swords until it stops moving.
I'll trust that you know what you're talking about.
We'll manage, if it comes to that.
Have you been hearing the calling, too?
I know what Corypheus is. He has no sway over me.
Inquisitor. A title hard to rhyme. A challenge for another day, I think. Forgive me my distractions, Eminence. I'm overwhelmed by you and what you've done. My name is Meriden, a humble bard.
Are you a bard like those of Orlais?
Oh, heavens no. I'm a minstrel first. My weapon is a cutting tongue, not blades. I hope my skills will help in some small way, if only I can give your deeds their due.
What do you bring to the Inquisition?
A simple thing that you know well. The power of a muse to rally hearts and minds. Inquisitor, I want to spread the word of what you've done. A small but vital role. Perhaps I'll also make a coin or two.
Carry on, then.
So we're attacking Wardens now. That's pissing great.
So you like to have fun. The Inquisition seems an odd fit. Why are you really here?
What do you mean? To help people.
It's starting to sound like you're looking for something more.
It is. Mostly. Okay, fine. There's talk and... I want to see.
See what?
I don't know. I've got all this chantry stuff in my head. It makes sense, right? But it's fuzzy. I want to see if it's all really real. I just don't know if I want to really know. So I'm selfish. It's all for me. Count yourself lucky, I guess.
Is your network of contacts still active after what happened?
After Lord Arsehole in Vishal? Of course. He may have killed people, but that just means there's more who hate him. You should be one of them. But maybe not. So watch out for that.
We annoyed some nobles. Does that really help all that much?
We'd have helped more if you hadn't been so chummy. I don't get what's so hard to understand. Your stuff works the same. Your Inquisition, I mean. Punch a bully, people like you. Do it because they asked, or let them think they asked. They like it even more. It's inspiring. even if it sometimes goes tits up and they take a hit back. You know, like Haven.
You really work hard to make it seem like what you do makes sense.
Right, because sense is what everything makes. Look at you, making sense. A Coryphalus and his Skyhold. Sense is not required for stuff to happen. And that's not my rule.
How may I serve?
You said that Clarel is Warden Commander. I thought that the hero Ferelden led the Wardens.
There is more than one Warden Commander. Each oversees a region, most often a single nation. The woman you speak of was Warden Commander of Ferelden. She disappeared some time ago. It is possible she joined the rest of the Wardens, although I cannot say for certain.
Yes?
Is there anything I should know?
Repairs to Skyhold's fortifications are progressing. Our scouts report no immediate threats in the surrounding area. We are fortunate Solus knew of this place.
Did you leave anyone behind in Kirkwall?
No. I fear I made few friends there, and my family's in Ferelden.
No one special caught your interest?
Not in Kirkwall.
That's all for now. Anything interesting?
A letter regarding a friend. I mentioned Alexis to you, didn't I? His son. I was trying to discover what became of him. Where he ended up.
And?
Nothing. Redcliffe is abandoned, and there's no trace of him. It's as if he never existed. I think the Venatori found out he was helping me. I think they killed him.
Are you all right?
He was ill, and thus on borrowed time anyhow.
That doesn't mean you can't regret his death.
I know. Felix used to sneak me treats from the kitchens when I was working late in his father's study. Don't get into trouble on my behalf, I tell him. I like trouble, he'd say. Tevinter could use more mages like him. Those who put the good of others above themselves.
What was he doing in Redcliffe if he wasn't part of the Venatori?
He was there with his father. In fact, Felix was the reason I knew where the Venatori were. He'd planned to help if you came to Redcliffe, I understand. He had so much more than I to lose by helping. He should be alive, not I.
Were the two of you...
Felix and I? What an odd question. No, there was nothing between us. He was just a fine young man, better than I. Maybe if the world were a better place, he'd be here instead of me.
You make it sound like he was a better person than you.
What a mad thing to say. Few people are better than I. Very well, a better person, clearly, not nearly as handsome. Thankfully, Felix wasn't the only decent sort kicking around Thedas.
This tome has passed from Lord Seeker to Lord Seeker, since the time of the old Inquisition. And now it falls to me.
Are you all right? You look drained.
I assume you know about the Rite of Tranquility. The last resort used on mages in the Circle, leaving them unable to cast, but depriving them of dreams and all emotion. It should only be used on those who cannot control their abilities, but that has not always been the case.
You mutilate mages.
I always thought it a necessary evil. What finally began the Mage Rebellion was the discovery the Rite of Tranquility could be reversed. The Lord Seeker at the time covered it up, harshly. There were deaths. It was dangerous knowledge, the shock of its discovery in addition to what happened in Kirkwall. But it appears we've always known how to reverse the right. From the beginning.
So the rebellion could have been prevented?
Perhaps, but it was a long time coming, for many reasons. We created the Right of Tranquility. I told you of my vigil, the months I spent emptying myself of all emotion. I was made tranquil, and didn't even know. Then the vigil summoned the spirit of faith to touch my mind. That broke tranquility, and gave me my abilities. The Seekers did not share that secret. Not with me, not with the Chantry, not even with... There's more. Lucius was not wrong about the Order. I thought to rebuild the Seekers once victory was ours. Now I'm not certain it deserves to be rebuilt.
You said there was more in the book.
At some point, power becomes its own master. We cast aside ideals in favor of expedience, and tell ourselves it was all necessary for the people. Will that happen to us, Inquisitor? Will we repeat history?
I can't foresee the future, Cassandra.
But we know the past. Those who do not heed history are doomed to repeat it.
I don't think I've ever seen you so shaken.
I do not think the Seekers have been doing the Maker's work. Not truly. Perhaps we believed it once. The original Inquisition came to be during a terrible time. But now, we harbored secrets and let them fester. We acted to survive, but not to serve. That is not the Maker's work.
If you did rebuild the Seekers, how would you do it?
I can't be the only one remaining. We will always spread to the winds, and some may still be out there. I would find them one by one. We would all read this book, no more secrets. Then together we would establish a new charter. The Maker's work in truth.
You keep saying that, but what is the Maker's work?
There is no way to know for certain. That is why we must seek it out. Perhaps we lost our way because we stopped looking.
Rebuild the Seekers. Make them better than they were.
Thank you. I could not have done this on my own.